Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course I'm joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen. And I wanted to kind of go into the new silver and gold prices because of course a lot of what we said came true. Go figure. I mean, so much of what we said over the last few months has come true last few years. And of course with Brexit, Britain voting to leave the EU, the gold price has skyrocketed. Not that it already wasn't beforehand, because of course we saw kind of a historic rise in gold over January, February going forward. But with Britain's exit, obviously, from the EU, we've seen gold prices skyrocket. So can you go into a bit of what we're seeing with silver and gold right now?
Well, what we're seeing right now with silver and gold is they're kind of trying to break out of the manipulation that's going on in the markets. Yeah. They're desperately trying to push out and win over the paper. Because it's mostly the paper manipulation that's, one of the worst things about gold and silver is, they try to like keep the price down. And then I also have learned as of lately how the Exchange Stabilization Fund in the United States and like funds in Britain and so on are able to control the price of gold compared to the exchange value of their currency.
Oh yeah, just consider how much silver and gold would be right now if it wasn't for the manipulation. Because even with the manipulation of silver and gold by Deutsche Bank, Scotia Bank, the ESF, they cannot keep it down. It's still going up, and that's a great example of what the vigilance, I guess, if that's a correct word, that silver and gold has, that it just keeps pushing forward. It preserves value incredibly.
Yeah, and also looking at the COMEX, and so like with all the contracts that have been oversold, like we're looking at 542 last time I checked to one physical metal in the bank. That's quite substantial, and that shows us, how crazy manipulated things are, because this is only paper that we're talking about. The GLD and SLV that you look at, and the price that you get from, looking at BNN or whatever news network you look at, that's not the real price of gold. That's not the physical metal that we're looking at. It's the real price of gold should be like way higher. If you accumulate, like if you actually priced it out, then I did a pricing actually in Canadian dollars. I remember if you were to go back on a gold standard, I ended up with something like $18 billion for an ounce of gold right now.
Which is insane, and some people might question that, but I mean, just looking at the corrective markets over the past, since 2012, I mean, there's no doubt that gold would be so much higher if it weren't for the manipulation. Now, we're getting swarmed by mosquitoes, so let's walk and talk a little bit so we can get out of these, get away from the swarm that decided to surround us the second we started filming. So, it's just incredible what gold and silver has been able to do over the past thousands of years. It's always held up its value. It's always preserved value. And paper money, which is one of the main things that we talk about here at WAM, has always reverted to its natural value of zero. It's inevitable because it is basically printed out of thin air. They create debt, they create inflation, they devalue the dollar, and we end up paying for it with our taxes. We end up paying for it when we go to the grocery store and try to buy something that it's constantly inflating. And silver and gold, they preserve those values. We look at back in the 1910s, we could have silver coins that we get from our job sites for like every hour, and that same amount is about relative to about $15 an hour today. And they talk about the minimum wage. We need a better minimum wage. Well, look at what silver and gold has been able to do, and if we stuck with silver and gold, look how much more prosperous we would be today.
Well, and just looking at the numbers right now for this year, silver is actually, like as I said, remember the video we were talking about the gold silver ratio? Silver has outperformed gold by about 10-15%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's at 38% gain in 1 year. That's an amazing safety of store of value just right there.
Silver, it doesn't get enough credit. It definitely does beat out, I think, every other precious metal you could find.
Silver has always been the winner, and like when a market rallies and people like run for the hills up to gold and silver will and try to save their wealth. And when gold gets too expensive, people run over to silver, and that's how you see the massive amounts of raise in silver compared to gold a lot of times.
And how, I mean, with Brexit going through, it obviously a historic event, and we've seen the price go up so much. How do you think in the long run Brexit will actually affect this though? Because it seems like every bit of so-called instability, and I really say so-called instability in the market, seems to be temporary.
There won't be too much with the whole Brexit thing. Actually, in Britain, they have a massive property bubble that's going to burst right away, and we're probably going to see a Lehman event just from that. On top of all the other Lehman's events with Deutsche Bank and others that are, so over leveraged and ready to collapse. So I don't know, like it's a dangerous place to be in the economy right now, and I think Britain is going to be totally fine. They would have been the same if they were in the European Union or not. Doesn't really matter. All that really matters is you have to have the choice of currency and being able to choose that and not have it enforced upon you by your central bank, because I know what's going to happen now. You're going to see Mark Carney, he's probably going to go to zero or to negative. That Canadian crook from Goldman Sachs, that's over at Bank of England there. And it's the same with all these central bankers. We're going to see them really panic now. And of course, they're going to use Brexit as their, like, oh yeah, it's all because of Brexit that we had to, we can't raise interest rates anymore, as Fed has been saying all the time. But we have to lower it now to, zero or negative in order to save ourselves. But they're just going to keep on this Ponzi scheme where they just print more money through the quantitative easing, and then they're just going to bail themselves up, because nobody wants to buy their debt anymore, so the central bank has to buy it with counterfeit money that they print out of thin air.
Yeah, and of course we're walking right into a global collapse, and it's never been a better time to own silver and gold. And I want to tell people, because I keep getting comments on the YouTube videos, no, we're not paid by the big gold companies. I really wish we were, but we're not. I mean, I'd be a hell of a lot richer.
Dollars,
we make zero.
I keep my precious metals myself, because I believe in it, because I studied history and I seen how the game between gold and silver and paper has been going on for the last 1,000 years.
All the way, and going all the way back to the Byzantine Empire. I mean, the way that gold is held up, and the second they get rid of gold, look what happens. And these centrally planned economies, look at how well gold and silver, the demand goes up, scarcity becomes, it makes it more and more valuable, because of course so much of the gold is mined already. And we're not giving anyone investment advice either. We're not saying go buy gold and sell it on this day. Legally, first of all, we can't give economic advice or monetary advice, because it's not legal without some stupid government or Keynesian kind of degree. But the fact is, if you are to insure yourself with gold, you're probably going to get out very well in the long run. And we've seen ourselves be proven right over and over again.
And we shouldn't really focus on the dollar price or whatever currency price of the precious metals. We should just focus on how does it preserve value. Well, it preserves value, like it will buy you the same amount of things as it would right now, even over time. While the paper currency loses so much value that it will buy us so much less over time, because they print it. So like the paper, like the dollar value of gold or silver is redundant to me. Like I wouldn't even worry about that. Just keep your some of your assets and wealth into gold and silver, because
and it could be so limitless
policy. And you'll be very happy that you did, looking at the whole history and how it's portrays itself. We have these Keynesians. Me and Josh had a fantastic conversation with some fiat paper money trolls online, and you probably enjoyed.
Sounds like every day for me.
But it was hilarious. Like, these guys were so destined on that. It was the gold standard that failed. But what they didn't, like, I don't know, they couldn't see it at all, was that the overprinting of currency had them to, like, force them to go away from that standard. So it wasn't the gold standard that failed. It was their
overprinting, and
it was them actually being able to hold themselves to that standard that failed. Because politicians, you can't have politicians not print money when it's available to them.
Well, and let's not give these guys too much credit. They were actually in the Comer versus the Bank of Canada group, which is it's a great cause, Comer versus the Bank of Canada, but these people were absolute trolls. Let's not give them any credit. They weren't actually debunking anything we were saying. They were just coming back with the same statement over and over again. And then when you'd send them facts, they went, oh, well, what facts? You haven't sent us any facts. But it's like, look, here are all the charts, here are all the statistics going back hundreds of years.
History over 3 different fiat currencies that failed in Canada over the last 300 years. So I guess, like people like to ignore history because
there's no shortage of those.
There's no shortage, and the universities and the people in control in schools, they're just willing to manipulate and control whatever they can of education, so we forget history and how it actually works. Now, before we end, I wanna have a really good picture of what you guys are gonna see where we're kind of at in the economy right now. So, John, if you just move a little bit over here and get a back shot of what we have in the back here, people will really see what we got going there. This is the economic storm, guys, that is approaching us, and we can see it. The people that are actually educated understand the economy. So the storm is coming, guys. It's time to prepare. The tornado is going to touch down and raise havocs in the world economic markets.
And I feel like with that storm coming, of course, gold, as so many people mention, you can't eat gold. So I would say gold is kind of like an umbrella from that rain, right? You're not you're still getting wet a little bit, but you are protecting yourself from much worse. And what you need to do is be able to be dependent enough, or independent enough, in order to be able to get your own food, get your own shelter, all that kind of stuff, because the globalists are pushing in the order, and everything is falling down, and it's basically the end times for the global economic system that they've been manipulating for so long and creating all these monopolies, and sooner or later it's just going to implode, because we the people are holding up all this weight, and the bigger this government gets, the bigger the the central bankers get, the more power they have, the more it pushes down weight on us, and eventually we get hurt underneath it unless we get out from underneath it and do something about it.
What I would like to say to the guys that says you can't eat gold, well, I definitely can't eat gold or silver, but what I know is I can transact with gold and silver to get myself food. But I also have food and water. Like, you got to prepare yourself, because the calamity that we're entering is going to be something like the Great Depression versus combined with World War II, World War I, and the fall of the Roman Empire, I think it is. Yeah. It's something epic, because we have this system worldwide right now, and we're going to see something that is going to be written about in the history books. As why didn't these guys learn? Like, it was thousands of years with this horrible system of failure with paper money.
You mean?
And then they chose to use it on the global scale in over 160 countries.
You mean? And of course they are trying to implement that. We found that even from the Bilderberg leaks that we recently went through at WAM. They are openly talking about creating a global government, the most powerful people, global monetary system, and of course it basically started the implementation of this already. But I would be seeing it as, like, in the future, they'll be looking at the revisioned history books. They'll totally black out this part, and they'll probably repeat it again, because that's how it has been for thousands of years. They just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And of course, we're coming up on the 1,000th year anniversary of China's first paper money, the first paper money on Earth.
8 years from now.
1024 AD. So we're going to talk to Rob Kirby in the next few days. Actually, again, we love talking with him. He's such an incredibly interesting and intelligent guy, and we're going to talk to him a bit more in depth about Brexit and how this is all affecting us. But thank you for going into this a bit with us, John, and we'll be coming back at you with much more. Check the links below. Find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, worldalternativemedia.com. You can donate below with the GoFundMe and the Patreon. We can't do this stuff without you folks, so any bit of help you can get, even just sharing the link around, would be incredible. So thank you very much.
Sorry, one last word.
Yeah.
Storm is coming, guys.
Let's get out of here.